of a left.
But you also spoken about how China funds wokeism in America and bans it at home. So have they used wokeism?
Yeah. China.
Yeah.
China has a double-faced view on wokeism. They don't want this domestically. In fact, they don't want Americans to teach anything but STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine. They want to learn that from Americans, and they send their children and they fund these kind of things. They don't want to learn about Chinese history, Chinese social issues, Chinese political issues. They do not want the Americans to talk about Tibet or Uyghurs or Hong Kong and all that. So they're very clear in what the places like Harvard will say and what they will not say, and that's enforced. Whereas in the case of India, the billionaires have funded a whole lot of things in Harvard, places like Harvard, without requiring or at least
Harvard the focus of your
their
book?
Values.
Why is Harvard the focus of your book? You've dedicated a huge part of your book to Harvard. You refer to Harvard as a snake nest and say that it has unparalleled intellectual power to dismantle India. How does an institution, one university, however important, thousands of miles away, affect our country? And even though it may act as a ground for anti-India propaganda, how dangerous can it be for us?
Sure. At one time, it used to be Oxford during the British era, and you see what happened. Oxford trained people, and they were brought into the East India Company. All the officers were trained there, and also the whole Indology throughout Europe was Oxford-based, Oxford-centered, many places in the UK and in India. So today, that role has been taken over by Harvard. So it is the center, because the Kennedy School is very powerful, probably the most powerful place where they teach politics and government and geopolitics and so on. Its influence goes into all the think tanks in the United States, and its influence goes to the US Congress. The Democrats are very proud that they are products of Harvard. Most of the top level Republicans are not. They have not much influence on the Republicans, but Harvard has a huge influence on the Democratic Party and all the think tanks from Brookings onwards. So taking on Harvard is a challenge because nobody has done it before. It's a very courageous thing to take them on and invite them to come and debate and discuss and argue. We have invited them, and we hope they will accept this invitation. We'd love to come on your show with Suraj Jengde, who talks about this, and with Ajanta Subramaniam from Harvard, and a whole lot of other people. Tarun Khanna, who is the head of the Mittal Center at Harvard. These are Indians. They are not Westerners. They're Indians who have gone and made a career out of this. And they're very young, enterprising people, because this sells. This type of rhetoric against India sells in the liberal circles in the United States. And that is why you see articles in Washington Post and New York Times and BBC and Wall Street Journal. All of the stuff that people like you don't like because you consider it very negative. Well, where does it come from? Those journalists are not necessarily big researchers and experts on India. They get trained in a certain place. So in Harvard, there is a Newman Center of media, which brings media people from all over and gives them training on all sorts of cultures and civilizations and countries. And when they're teaching about India, it's all about these kind of breaking India issues. And that makes Harvard a particularly important...
Are we giving it again?
I'll be the last one left when the lights go out. I'm down to